if you do use a PR agency or you're doing PR yourself, so you're pitching media regularly, don't forget that pitch that you're sending the media, like that paragraph or two with the story idea, is a valuable piece of content. So what we're doing today for our clients is we're telling them, look, if 25% of our pitches get picked up, it doesn't mean the other 75 aren't great, 75%. So we actually share those pitches with them or with our SEO team, and we repurpose those into blog posts.
So smart.
About that topic, because we're already creating the content. So just think every little thing that you're doing to secure the end result, like all those steps along the way are things that you can use in some other way, shape, or form.
I'm Shaina. I love dogs, I trip a lot, and I happen to have a knack for making pretty sweet videos for businesses. But the more videos we made, the more questions I got about how video and other content can be leveraged to make a bigger impact in their marketing. I mean, 44% of marketers say that producing content is their biggest challenge, yet content marketing is 62% less expensive than outbound and produces 3 times more leads. Now, I know a lot, but I certainly don't know it all, so I made it my mission to talk with content kings, queens, and bosses to learn as much as I could about crushing content marketing, and I'm taking you along with me. Welcome to the Content Coalition. So today we are here, it's DiGianfilippo, right?
Yes, that works. DiGianfilippo or Filippo. Like literally the family says it 2 different ways, so I usually say Filippo, but like
Filippo, okay.
It's either way.
Okay, so we are here with Melissa DiGianfilippo / Filippo, depending on where you're coming from. She is the co-founder and president of PR at Serendipit Consulting in Phoenix, Arizona. The other co-founder is a female too, right?
She is, and she's amazing. She just walked by, she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just being me.
Just being me. Just hanging out with all the cameras. So you got a couple of awards last year. What was it? Female PR Person of the Year?
I did, yeah, for Phoenix. So I was named top PR person in the Valley, which was really cool. Yeah, it was by Arizona Foothills Magazine, so that was fun.
Yeah.
And then I was a most admired leader by the Phoenix Business Journal. And that was cool because I was, one of few females, but also I was like one of the youngest in the room, which was kind of cool. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was fun.
So today we are going to talk about PR because that's what your bag is. And we obviously talk about content marketing, and a lot of people think that they're 2 completely different things.
Yes.
Content and PR.
They're not.
So let's debunk that madness.
Totally.
Cool. All right. So let's hear your first thought initially. Why are they not separate things?
Well, number one, PR is really a tactic in a content marketing strategy. Right. So when you do public relations, there's a lot of things you can do. A lot of times people just think it's media relations, which it is. It's, you're pitching stories to the media to secure content. Right. So you're creating content, which is like a pitch or a press release, to secure more content, which is like third-party validated, earned media, so unpaid media. So it's all about content. That's the funny thing. That's why it's completely the same thing. And what I always tell clients when they hire us or when they just start to do PR is that, the moment the story runs, like the moment that you're working for, that you're pitching the media and you get that placement, and you get a CNN story or a Phoenix Business Journal or a national magazine is great, but like it's rarely the best part or the most successful part. Right. It's always in how you repurpose and reshare that content. So it's like taking that one article that ran and putting it on your website, on your blog, then sharing that blog post on social media about the article, then putting it in your email newsletter, then maybe putting a video on YouTube about the article and talking about it. Right. There's lots of different ways that you can use that content, and that helps with your SEO. It helps with your just whole content strategy. And it just makes you be seen as a credible, leader.
Yeah, and I honestly, when I was reading through what you were sending us earlier, for me, I'm kind of like, okay, there's content marketing where you're in front of a camera talking about something, and who's to say you're the expert? Even though, you put
anyone can get in front of a camera.
Right, exactly.
Look at us.
We're just 2 anybody's in front of a camera. No, but but it's almost, to me, it sounds like it's better because you're gaining more credibility by being on a third party
totally
platform.
There are stats that show that earned media, so when a publication or an news outlet covers you, the consumers do buy that as more credible than an ad or a Facebook ad or even a blog on your website, because they know you're producing and controlling that content. So when you can get that earned media and then you can repurpose the heck out of it, that is crushing it. That is going to work in your favor, and it's so funny because maybe this is going off topic, but people they struggle with PR being like measurable and credible, which is weird to me because if you're taking that third-party content and posting it on your website and then tracking, the visitors to your website, or even like if you can repurpose it now, it's like you're tracking the success of PR.
Right.
So it can be the most beneficial and most credible form of marketing that you do.
Yeah, and that goes along with like the things that I used to tell people when I was just doing video production. It's like, yeah, the one time when you're in front of the camera and like in PR and you're doing the PR piece, that's great.
Totally.
But all of the stuff you're going to get out of it comes in how you use it later. And it's the same thing with any kind of video blog. I mean, any kind of media you do in general, you need to have a game plan for it.
Totally. Yeah.
Otherwise, like, why?
Yeah, and I think a lot of my clients want like video content. They want to be like on the local news. Or I guess maybe they want to be like bigger, like national news, let's say. But you have to start somewhere, which So like a lot of times we have to get them all these like smaller local news placements in order to get them the national stuff. And they don't always see the value. They're like, well, my customer isn't watching Channel 5 in the morning. They're watching CNN. And what I tell them is you're getting this third-party video content that like you literally cannot buy for yourself. It's so hard unless it's a straight ad, which you can buy and it's not credible.
Sure.
But the fact that your customer is not watching like Channel 5 in the morning doesn't matter. The fact that you had this video content, you put it on YouTube, you put it on Facebook, you put it on your blog, you put it on your website, you send it out in an email marketing, and then you build a media reel of all of these local media clips that you can then show to national media. That is so powerful. So again, that's reusing that one little piece of content and helping you elevate and get more.
Yeah, and it's increasing your validation as a source of expertise.
Yep, absolutely.
So I know you're saying most people want video. What are your feelings about text?
So not most people, but a lot of clients do think like I want to be on broadcast news. But I think digital content like traditional media is dying. So like print is not as prevalent anymore. It still exists, but really all print publications also publish online. So I love digital content because if your local newspaper puts you in an article online or you're an entrepreneur online, it's so trackable, so easy to share that I just think it's more powerful than the print paper that goes away or the magazine that sits on your coffee table for a month, I think clients are wanting both. I just think digital pieces are easier to repurpose and reshare.
Yeah. How are people repurposing like digital articles?
Yeah. So actually, a lot of times, we work to secure byline content for our clients. That's something that's like, in my mind, the best kind of content.
What is byline content?
So it's when you're writing an article and the outlet publishes the article with your byline. Like instead of a reporter interviewing you, you're writing on a topic. So it rarely, when it's a PR related article, it can't be too salesy. It can't be like all about you. It's about a subject that you're an expert on. You're offering tips, feedback, advice. And then you get, a boilerplate at the bottom with a link back to your website, which is super awesome.
Right.
And so when we create byline content for clients or we pitch it, we can repurpose it in so many ways. So usually it starts out as a topic that maybe has been on their blog in the past. And we're like, wow, you're getting a lot of traffic to this one topic. Maybe this is a good article for us or a topic for us to create a bylined article, pitch it to relevant, national trade or local media, get it picked up. And when you do that, you never want the same article to run in more than one publication. So it can be the same topic, but you have to change some of the words out, obviously. So then all of a sudden it runs in an outlet and then you reshare it on social media, you put it in your email newsletter, on your website you can show that you've been featured in XYZ publications.
Yeah.
And that's super powerful. And it all started with maybe a blog topic that you had on your website.
So tell me if it's similar or if I'm missing the boat. So it's similar to guest blogging on like large, is it kind of the same
exactly
thing?
The same thing. It's just typically with a traditional news outlet, it's called, you're submitting a bylined article. And then in those, you can be really smart about the links you include.
Yeah.
So to make sure you get those links back to your website or wherever you want them to go. We've gotten a lot of clients, regular contributed content in like Inc., for example.
Yeah.
Chris Ronzio, I think you know him. We helped him get his Inc. column online, and that's by showing that he could contribute a lot of content regularly that was thought leadership driven around, one main overarching topic. And now he's repurposing the heck out of that content. And you see it in his Instagram stories when he's writing about it, when he's, trying to come up with new topics. When it publishes, he shares it, and it's really cool.
Yeah, content is crushed for him. I actually he's going to be a guest.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and he was saying that without his content, people are stopping him in other states because they see his Instagram stuff or the Trainual stuff. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great.
So how did you get into PR?
I always wanted to be a writer, which is so funny because it is a big part of PR. But I'm just a storyteller. I love to get people's stories out of them. I love to understand what makes them tick, what makes them excited, and then find a way to to really tell that story in an amazing and fun and engaging way that will encourage others to retell it as well. So PR is really all about creating stories and telling stories and getting them picked up and repurposed.
Why is the storytelling important?
When you don't use storytelling to share examples of why you're an expert and why you're different, you come across really salesy, and no one wants a giant sales pitch. And you have a story in you. You created your company because something happened, and it made you realize that this would be a smarter move, and there's probably a really cool story there. How Alexis and I created Serendipit, there's an amazing story there, and I think everyone has that, and when you can find a way to tell it concisely to your target audience, and that that it just is so much more authentic and believable, and so I think that's important. But also when you're pitching the media or pitching new customers, you can find ways to weave little pieces of your story and your why into everything you do.
Yeah. What would be one tip that you would give somebody who's trying to really tune in and hone in on what their story is?
I would say get a piece of paper and write down. Well, just think through the path of where you, or an iPad, an iPad Pro. Get your iPad Pro, and think through the path of how you got to where you are today, and what influenced you. What are the biggest influences, and what's the why? Think of the one thing, the one reason why you're doing what you're doing today, and keep taking it a level deeper. The immediate why may be, well, I need a job. Okay. Why do you need a job? I need a job because I need to make money. Okay, why? Think.
So be a 3-year-old.
Yeah,
keep asking why.
Keep asking why, and go deeper and deeper, and you'll come to understand the purpose of why you're doing what you're doing, and then dig deep and find a way to bring that purpose forward and kind of in all the things that you create.
All right, marketers, so we all know that blogging is a huge pain point for digital marketing, and Content Cucumber has come up with a way to solve that for you. Imagine not having to write your own blog posts consistently. Imagine not having to deal with a freelancer who you never know when their stuff's coming back, or what kind of quality you're going to get out of it. Imagine having a blog post a day, up to 400 words being sent to you every single day based on a submission that you asked for, a topic that you wanted. The keywords are right on point. I mean, Content Cucumber has solved this amazing pain point that is now something that you are excited about because you'll consistently have amazing content. We've got $30 off your first month for you. If you go ahead and hit the link in the description, there's going to be a promo code there for you. Dude, make sure that your content writing is just on point. Make sure that you're doing it consistently, and do that easily with ContentCucumber.com.
So what are some PR tools that either your team uses or that you suggest other people use?
Sure. So the first one, we use a tool called Iris. It's a technology platform that allows you to track your media relations efforts. So all of the pitches that you're sending to media, the responses and the results. It's a great tool for teams. So if you have a PR team internally, it's awesome. Even a corporation who wants to do PR, that's a great one. Cision is a really great tool that has media contacts. It's a database. It's expensive.
Cision, how do you spell that?
Cision,
Okay.
So it's a media database you can subscribe to, and you can literally type in a reporter's name or an outlet's name and find the best media contact to reach out to. And then the last one is PR Web, only because it's inexpensive relatively, and it's a great tool for SEO for PR. So if you write a press release, you've already pitched it, you've secured a couple things, you want it to go further, putting it on PR Web will syndicate it out. It won't necessarily generate awesome earned media placements, but it will put that exact press release on a ton of websites, and it's $300 or whatever. Gotcha. You can get a subscription and get it for cheaper, but that's the cost per.
Gotcha. So with Cision, going back, I know that one of the, maybe a misconception, but it's a perception that I know that I've had in the past, is that if you don't already have like elbow to elbow relationships with all of these PR firms, that it's just ridiculous to even try because you're not going to ever get picked up on anything. Is that the case? Is that
No, and it's not the case at all. But it is not easy to get stories picked up, and it's not about not having a relationship, because really the media is changing every single day. Like, it's shrinking.
Right.
So reporters are doing more and more jobs, so they need PR people or they need someone pitching them ideas. The real struggle is not the contact, it's in how you formulate your pitch. If you don't read the person's content that they're producing, they get super annoyed. If you pitch them an angle that's totally off topic, if you draft a 2-page email all about you and the fact that you, like, nothing about them and their audience, it's all about knowing how to sell your story. Yeah. That's the hard part. The hard part isn't the contact and the relationship. Certainly, like, building relationships can help.
Right.
But it's not the be-all, end-all.
Anything that you think is completely, like, overlooked consistently in content marketing, PR, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can give a tip that I think is relatively new, or it's not new, but people aren't doing it, and I think they should be.
Let's hear it.
So if you want to be an expert source, and like you want to get tons of content out there, and you want to be picked up by national media, one of the things I would do is start your own IGTV channel, and don't be afraid. So like, start it and start talking, daily or weekly, whatever you can do, about the things that you are an expert in. Share tips, share commentary on national and local happenings, how it affects your business, how it affects your life. Be authentic. Yeah. And that, essentially, you're building a reel of your expertise. You'll get more and more comfortable the more you do it, but that's something that you can reshare. And the cool thing is, now national media outlets are watching these channels.
Are they?
They're paying attention. So if you can build up enough of a following for yourself, and you can be authentic and real, and show your expertise, they're paying attention. And even if you don't proactively submit yourself, which I recommend you do, but even if you don't, there's a chance that if you're doing it the right way, you could all of a sudden get a call from this perfect target media that you can be an expert source on, and get that awesome PR win.
Yeah, so IGTV is a new thing for me too. Mm-hmm. So I even have questions that, are there best practices for, obviously be authentic, but is there best practice in like length and like topics and how you shoot it? Like, is it supposed to be the whole selfie thing? Is it actually like cameras?
I think it's preference. I know 10 minutes is pretty much the max they allow most people to film, unless you're like a super Instagram celeb. I think they allow you longer. I don't know the exact stats yet, but 10 minutes is average, and I prefer the selfie angle because I think it looks more authentic. I've seen it go both ways. From a best practice, I would say do what makes you look and feel the most comfortable. I don't think it's like IGTV should be used to like sit and do an interview like this, because I don't think it feels like the same as you sitting and talking to your target audience. Like, remember that it's like you're sharing insight with this core group of people who are watching you and following you, and you should keep it that way. It shouldn't be highly produced. Like, you don't need it to be fancy. It just needs to be you being comfortable in front of a camera and like talking to people.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, that's you're the first person who's brought up the IGTV.
Oh, well,
there we go. Hey.
I'm a trendsetter.
Is there any, you just like value bombed the hell out of this episode. So is there anything else that you feel like you want to talk about, or that you think that people should know about PR?
So one other just tip I was going to share at some point, if possible, is if you do use a PR agency or you're doing PR yourself, so you're pitching media regularly, don't forget that pitch that you're sending the media, like that paragraph or two with the story idea, is a valuable piece of content. So what we're doing today for our clients is we're telling them, look, if 25% of our pitches get picked up, it doesn't mean the other 75 aren't great, 75%. So we actually share those pitches with them or with our SEO team, and we repurpose those into blog posts.
So smart.
About that topic, because we're already creating the content. So just think every little thing that you're doing to secure the end result, like all those steps along the way are things that you can use in some other way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's just about being resourceful and repurposing it
totally
in lots of different ways. How about this? What has been your favorite PR moment that you've secured?
Ever? Oh my gosh.
For you, for a client, for whatever.
So for a client, back when medical cannabis was like just becoming a thing in Arizona, so it was like 2010. We represented this store called We Grow. It was like named the Walmart of weed, which is a horrible name, but it was like so newsworthy. And we ended up getting like 200 national and international media placements from like Nancy Grace. I was quoted in CNN.
Oh my God.
We were on Jay Leno, like crazy, amazing stuff, just because it was a super sexy topic, but also because we did PR really, really well. And it was like a nonstop. I was at the store for like 2 days straight. I didn't sleep, but I was so happy, and it was so much fun. I love that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
It's a crazy high.
Was it kind of like once it started that
it just didn't
went
stop.
and it was
Because
its own
once
reason?
one big outlet like the AP or someone picks something up, everyone just jumps on it, and it's at that point it's really just managing and which media you want to pay attention to first. What's going to be the most important? How do you change the message from one to the other? So it's an amazingly fun thing to be a part of.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what is one, because we're talking to people who take action.
Yep.
We better be. So what is one thing that anybody who's listening, watching, reading, whatever this is going to be, because we're going to repurpose it. You know.
Shocker.
Yeah, right. What's one thing that they can do in the next 48 hours, them or their team, that's like realistic and actionable to get a step ahead and just get the ball rolling on PR, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I would say figure out the one thing that you were an expert on today that you could speak about to anyone. Find, that one thing, draft a two paragraph pitch about why you are the expert on this topic and maybe your view on a current happening in that space, and send it to one reporter. Like, just try it. Find a reporter in your local market, your national, a national contact, and just see what happens.
I love that. Mm-hmm. The hardest part is just starting, just doing it.
Yep.
So just do it.
Yeah,
awesome. Great advice. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
this has
thanks
been
for
awesome.
having me.
I learned a lot. I'm sure everybody else is going to learn a ton. So I appreciate it. And yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Content Coalition. Now, whether you're listening or watching, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel and to whatever platform you're listening to it on, because you're not going to want to miss out on the incredible things that I'm learning with these amazing content marketing pros. So make sure you subscribe, and we will talk to you next week.